I just left Keith Lee's TikTok about his experience in Atlanta restaurants, and I want to rate through the good comments 1 through 10. Let's rate them 1 through 10. As you can see, I don't have any good reviews in my hand.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
So what's going on, you all? We got to talk about Keith Lee's experience in the Atlanta restaurant scene and what is going on. Why is the food so bad? There is so much to talk about. Honestly, I can do a complete series of what is causing Atlanta to struggle being a food capital. Like it's other cities, like other big cities like Chicago and New York are not having the same problem to the degree that Atlanta is having. And it's really complex, and it's a lot of things that I'm seeing online that people are not talking about. Yes, we can talk about the quote unquote Instagram aesthetic and all these restaurants being Instagram restaurants. And I feel like just saying Instagram restaurants isn't a strong enough critique, because there are some restaurants that get very, very like viral views on Instagram, TikTok, and social media, and the restaurants are just as good. But what is happening is very specific and why it is happening in Atlanta, unlike other cities. So let's get into it. So Keith Lee has been in Atlanta for this weekend, and a couple of the restaurants he's been to, it just ain't been the best experience. A couple of restaurants he was unable to get food. The restaurants claimed they were really, really busy and they couldn't sit him down. Some restaurants said they do not take orders online. They do not take orders over the phone. And keep in mind, I get it, because this weekend in Atlanta was very, very busy. You had Spell House, Morehouse, and Spellman's homecoming was going on. Also, you had a music festival that was going on this weekend. Atlanta just has a lot of stuff going on the weekend. So I can understand some restaurants saying, hey, we're unable to accommodate doing a call-in order, or, you know, we can't do to-go orders. We're only focusing on the people who are coming to sit down. Now, Keith Lee tried to sit down in some of these restaurants. They told him an hour and a half wait. And, you know, once they realized who he was, they tried to accommodate him. And I get it. I don't think that's a fault of the restaurant. Like, hey, if we see Keith Lee, we know he's famous, we need to accommodate him. Like, that's just what it is. Any restaurant would do that. Honestly, it's just a lose-lose situation regardless. If you treat him even better, you know, you're going to get talked about for that. If you don't accommodate, it's like, oh, well, this is Keith Lee, why don't y'all do this stuff? So it's going to be bad regardless. The only thing that you can do as a restaurant is always have good service 24/7. You don't have to worry about getting ready if you already are ready, and you should be ready each and every time you are open. And that is some of the things that's going on in Atlanta and the experience with the restaurants. As a person who's been living in Atlanta for 8 years, we're gonna get into that, because I know the ATLians, the Grady babies, are ready to chew and bite my head off. But I'm on y'all's side, and I do believe that the transplants are responsible for what is going on with the food and the restaurants in Atlanta, but not on the degree that folks have been talking about, because it's bigger than that. And it's a thing that is happening to bigger cities, but like I said, Atlanta is experiencing on a different scale. So one of the places that Keith Lee went to was the Real Milk and Honey, and they had house rules. Now, like I said, it's not uncommon for a restaurant to have rules. Some might have, hey, after 5 o'clock, it's business attire. Hey, we only do reservations. We don't do same day reservations. I've been to some restaurants like that, and I get it. Like, hey, we have to have some type of uniformity to take care of the folks who are coming in and our clientele. I get that. But these house rules at the Real Milk and Honey are very interesting. We guarantee great food. Everything else is left to chance. We try our hardest, though. We really do. To me, that rule is saying you can't send food back. Like, we guarantee you great food, but, you know, it might be on you. So it's kind of like we have the right to say, we're not taking it off your check. The second one is we do not provide individual checks. However, we will allow up to 3 forms of payment. To me, that was very, very complicated. I get, as a person who used to be a server, I don't get why we are not able to split checks. I can understand, hey, after, you know, 6 people or 10 people, we not doing all that. I don't get that. I don't get that. Like, I don't get that. And number 3 is really confusing to me. 18% gratuity added to parties of 5 or more. I get that. Most people do 6 or more. I don't even think 18% is even that much. I think 18% is actually like low, but that's the common thing when it comes to restaurants. But on a check larger than $75, I can understand that, because your demographic or whatever doesn't like tip, and you want to make sure that your servers are being taken care of. I get that. I get that. Maybe pay them a little bit more. Looking at the rules at restaurants that have these interesting rules tells me that the restaurant cannot afford to lose any money. They can't afford to lose any money, and they're nickel and diming everything. I know one restaurant, I don't know which one it was, but tried to charge $1 for butter. Y'all want to run a business like a restaurant, like y'all are flipping houses. Y'all might as well be DJ Envy and Caesar at this point. Y'all are running restaurants trying to make a quick buck. And that is why you have rules and stuff like this. Now the Milk and Honey, Real Milk and Honey and whatever, they got a couple of restaurants, I think in Atlanta, a couple in DC, and they have responded, you know, with a TikTok video kind of saying, who is Keith Lee? And kind of, you know, it was kind of salty, shady. I thought that was very low and disgusting, to be honest. And Keith Lee was being as nice as he could with his review. And there was no need for you to respond back. That tells me that y'all don't have any business sense, to be honest. And a lot of y'all are running these businesses because y'all want to be in a certain, like y'all want a certain type of status. Like, there is no love in the food. There's no love in like how you treat your customers, not even how you treat your workers. And we're gonna get into that too, because a lot of our problems from these bad restaurants come because the workers are not being paid a fair or a decent wage. And when you do not take care of your workers, they're not going to take care of your customers. They're going to steal from you. As a person who's worked at restaurants and have seen it firsthand, if they ain't stealing out the cash register, if they ain't stealing about coupons, if they ain't doing all type of stuff, they're going to steal customer service. They're going to give your customers less customer service. For the black folks, y'all don't know how it is. Have y'all ever asked a black person or said something to a black person and they think it is endangering them having a job? The first thing they will say is, I'm not finna, you ain't finna make me lose my job. Like, they take care of me. Folks, is not going to do that. If you take care of your worker is going to take care of you. But y'all are so interested in this flex culture, which is a part of Atlanta, because we want to talk about culture in Atlanta. A lot of it is very flex. Like, these folks want to be richer than they are, and Atlanta is a cheaper city for you to be able to buy restaurants and stuff and, you know, make profit. Like, that's what's happening. Y'all enjoy having y'all AMGs, y'all G-Wagons in front of the business to flex. And then you got your workers struggling to make like decent money, like whether it be like tipping or the bartender. Like, there's not a lot of people making money. Like, it might be a couple of folks making money, but they are working harder than most, because if a restaurant is doing really, really good, it's not uncommon for your server and bartender to be making $100,000 a year. I've seen it. Some of these top restaurants, you know, the servers and bartenders make $100,000. There's nothing wrong with a server or a bartender or whatever making $100,000 a year. I don't think there's nothing wrong. If you provide the service, checks is going up, you making folks spend money, you making them, because I don't mind. For me, I'll spend $300, $400, $500 on some food and a good experience before I spend $300, $400, $500 on some clothes. It's just, I love it. That's just my thing. And there's a lot of people like myself who enjoy going out to eat, and that's their thing. Like, they do not like to cook. They want to go out, and this is their lifestyle. And, you know, people take care of them. What's happening in Atlanta is gentrification. What is hurting Atlanta restaurants the most is gentrification. Now, we're getting into the conversation about the transplants, because the transplants are a part of the gentrification, because the people who were living in the city and owning the business and the local restaurants, they're not here anymore. They've been almost completely decimated. Like, some of my favorite spots are not even here anymore. Atlanta is not even Atlanta anymore. Atlanta is up for sale. It is up for sale. And yes, the Grady babies and the ATLians can be pissed off and upset about that. But your politicians and the leadership that is running the city, even the outs, want people outside of Atlanta to come here. There's a reason why our favorite movies are filming here, because it is cheaper. As much as y'all want to gas up some of these folks, I'm not gonna say no names, but who own big studios in Atlanta, they are the problem of what is going on in Atlanta. One of my favorite restaurants, Joe's on Juniper, was like a staple, like gay spot that the black gays used to go to and some of the white gays used to go to. I loved it. Right next to Einstein's. It was even talked about on some of the reality shows in the beginning, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Einstein's and Joe's on Juniper are not there anymore. Completely gone. Now in 2023, what's being built there now is a luxury apartment. That is what's going on. The city is being like cut in pieces and sold to the highest bidder. And oftentimes it is, if not all the time, it's sold to folks outside of Atlanta. People who do not have any connection to the community, people who have no connection to the folks who work here, who don't even know the person who may have sold their restaurant down the street. They don't even know to talk to that owner and to hire the people who used to work there. The recipes are not being carried on. And these folks are trying to flip quick. So they're hiring folks who do not have the efficiency to run restaurants. Might be somebody they're cool with, a brother they owe a favor to, or a sister, cousin, whatever, auntie, and they have no business skills, which gets into my other thing. Y'all have no idea how to run a business. Like, I'm going into y'all spot and y'all, even the bare basics of a website that is running, that is giving me detail about the restaurant, the closure times, the menu update, y'all are not spending money on that. Which goes into y'all not having the capital to be able to run a business. Y'all do not have the infrastructure because y'all don't have the money, because y'all are nickel and diming it because y'all want to turn and flip quick. This not making any sense for y'all not to be able to accommodate even the basics. If you're seeing an uptick of people wanting to do to-go orders, maybe hire somebody to do that. But y'all are already working y'all servers too much. Y'all don't have a to-go specialist. Have someone who is specifically working, making sure food is being, put out to folks who are calling in and doing orders. It takes absolutely nothing to do that. Y'all can't do it because y'all can't close down for a couple of days and, build the stuff because y'all can't miss out on money. Y'all can't be shut down 2 weeks to make improvements and get stuff together because y'all need every check. There's a reason why there's a constant conversation about folks who make $100,000 or more living check to check, because folks don't have it and they don't want to admit it. Capitalism is not allowing us for a second to say, you know what, I think I'm good, because y'all want more. Once you start making $150,000 for a lot of folks, they want more things, and things cost even more money. More money, more problems. I believe it. More problems that you create because the desire to want more money. Period. And that's what's happening with these restaurants in Atlanta. The people in Atlanta can cook. The black folks in Atlanta can cook. But they are not in Atlanta anymore because they've been pushed outside the city. The people who are cooking in these restaurants and working in these restaurants are tired. They're driving 30, 45 minutes, a lot of them, because they can't stay in the city. They can't afford to live in the city they work in. How many people that we know are living outside the city and taking an hour commute back and forth to work? It's not that the black folks in Atlanta can't cook, because the food here is good. It's that the folks who can don't own anything. The people in Atlanta don't own a lot of these restaurants, and we get it food because we think because Kirk and Rashida and Candy and Todd and these other like celebrities who are quote unquote Atlanta, TM, are Atlanta. And they are not necessarily Atlanta. A lot of them, Shade, yes, these folks are from Atlanta, but these folks are super hype capitalists. And they're just selling the idea of Atlanta to build other restaurants like this in other cities. Because at the end of the day, it's not about maintaining the culture of Atlanta. It's about flipping it and making more money. That's the reason why some of these restaurants that started in Atlanta now, oh, you got one in here, you got one in here, you got one here. And it's just like y'all are not holding on to the authenticity because y'all don't want to, because y'all want more money. And we really need to get into a conversation about, how we see these people moving, some of our faves who we do want to see do well, but at the expense of exploiting other black people. There's a couple of restaurants, no shade, who have been sued or have lawsuits for not taking care of their employees and stealing wages. That is not something that is specific to black-owned restaurants. Let me tell you, as someone who's worked for years working in restaurants, it's not something that's specific to black-owned restaurants. White folks do it all the time. They do. They just have better lawyers and stuff to keep stuff hush-hush, and they know how to pay their folks off when it gets too loud. But the thing about the black word and the black mouth is that it's going to get talked about. It's going to get talked about. And we don't necessarily want to see black businesses do bad, because we want to believe that there's a chance that I will be out here owning restaurants and stuff and being a millionaire. And it's just like, no, because these folks who are owning these restaurants, a lot of them are not even millionaires. A lot of them are probably in debt and we just don't know it. But everything is just so flashy that we can't really see it. We really can't see it because we are being, flashed in our face that, oh, this is what success looks like. This is what money looks like. A lot of us want to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And we believe that if we see these things, that there's a chance that it will happen to us. And it's just not always true. Let me reiterate that the black folks in Atlanta, Georgia can cook. But the folks in Atlanta who own these restaurants are not that. They are hyper fixated on making more money. The spots that Keith Lee went to, no shade, I refuse to go to. One of my friends had a terrible experience at one of the restaurants. It actually went viral on TikTok, where him and his friend went down, sat down for brunch, and when they were about to leave, the police officer who was there, who felt comfortable being there, probably was asked by the owner or manager, whatever, was harassing my friend and his friend because they were taking too long to get up. One of the rules we've seen in Atlanta, that I've seen in Atlanta, is the 90-minute at the table situation. If you are doing your thing as a business owner and as a manager, you will be able to compensate for someone sitting at a table. There would be no need to tell somebody to get up. There would not be a need to say 90 minutes, but again, they don't have the capital that if someone sits down at a table for 2-3 hours and they miss out on money because it needs to be flipped. But if you're doing your job and making sure things are together, you will be able to accommodate and for once in a while where someone sits at a table more than 3-4 hours. Everybody's not sitting at a table for that. But when you have business sense, you go and you pay attention to your clientele and you say, hey, we need the people at these tables that's sitting down for 2-3 hours. We need to be able to compensate, so we need to charge this much money for food in case someone sits down for the percentage of people who sit down longer. Y'all are not doing that. Goes into everybody can't own a business because this shit is way more complex than adding a Twitter account with your business name and getting a Gmail. It's way more complex. There's a reason why a lot of businesses fail within the first 2 years because y'all don't have it. Someone brought up, I was watching an Instagram video, y'all don't have service managers. Y'all don't have service managers because y'all are not paying the service managers. Y'all have one person doing 2-3 jobs. I know y'all are because I had a cousin who was working at one of these famous black-owned spots in Atlanta, and I know they hyper-capitalist, and they were getting my cousin over, paying her below wages for somebody who is a kitchen manager. Y'all are not taking care of y'all black folks. That's why I don't care about y'all falling and failing. I don't care. Because y'all ain't taking care of the people who work for y'all, and then y'all want to go to red carpets and y'all want to look good and fabulous and rich when y'all are out here stealing from the people who work for you all. That's the issue. Y'all are hyper-capitalist and y'all don't have no capital. You're black. The chance of you being rich are slim. Capitalism doesn't work like that. That's what y'all need to get the idea of. That none of us are going to be able to rich in this system. None of us. It's all a scam. That's why I keep reiterating it. That's why I keep saying it. It's nothing that we're doing wrong. The system is not intended to work for us. So you have these folks who are selling it like the system is supposed to work, when in actuality it's not working. So for these restaurants who are out here charging $20 and the drinks are being sold in a plastic cup, what the hell? Why are we eating out of plastic cutlery? Like, what is going on? And y'all out here charging $20. Y'all don't have real silverware and real cups and all these things because that stuff breaks. That stuff breaks and gets thrown in the garbage and y'all can't factor it into y'all overhead. Y'all can't, because y'all want to nickel and dime everything. Y'all nickel and dime everything. Oh, we're just going to do plastic cups because it's cheaper. It's cheaper because y'all can't afford to lose silverware and glassware to that point. So it's just like, okay, instead of doing that, we're just going to do plastic. And it limits the experience for the guests. But at the same time, how are you sitting here charging $20 for a cocktail and it's in a plastic cup? I've seen one video of one restaurant off of Peter Street that was, you know, like talking about, hey, a black-owned restaurant, come in, and then they had a trailer for, you know, the food and the vibe. One of the lines, like, it was on this last piece of photosynthesis. Like, y'all out here nickel and diamond stuff. Y'all out here buying the lowest end of produce and then charging high end so y'all can continue to drive G-Wags around Atlanta. I'm not understanding it. I'm not understanding. So when we talk about Instagram restaurants, it's not necessarily Instagram restaurants. It's these hyper-capitalist folks who are building off of the Instagram aesthetic trying to make money. There are some restaurants who do have that and are able to sell and do amazing. Like, don't get it twisted. Folks are going to restaurants for the aesthetic. That is what it is. That's the culture right now. That people are going for the aesthetic, posting videos, TikToks, and all the other stuff. That's what's going on. People enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's restaurants who are succeeding in doing that. The problem are these restaurants who are doing that and they don't have the capital to invest in other things. The more money you're making, you should be investing back into your infrastructure. Y'all are not doing that. Y'all are not investing in the workers. There's a reason why I'm walking into your restaurant and I can smell the bar as soon as I walk in. There's a reason why I'm walking into your restaurant and it's funky. There's a reason why you got everybody sitting this close to each other, because y'all don't have the money to be able to expand and invest in the business, because y'all are so used to black folks just giving it to y'all because. And a lot of these spots, unfortunately, Keith Lee went to are not the top spots in Atlanta, Georgia, period. A lot of these spots are the spots that we've seen from reality TV. A piece of Atlanta being sold from folks seeing their favorite celebrity or whatever on this and da-da-da. These restaurants are not the restaurants that Atlanta folks are going to, point blank, period. There's a couple of local spots I went to that just have blown me away. Really good restaurants. And, you know, the food in Atlanta is not bad. It's just a lot of the restaurants in Atlanta are bad. There are some food spots, but there's definitely some room for improvement. This has definitely made me interested in bringing back reading the menu. I used to go to some of the spots in Atlanta to try it out and get reviews. That's how I was able to tell that, hey, these celebrity restaurants are just not giving. But I'm interested in bringing it back because I've had a good experience with some of the restaurants in Atlanta. I'll tell you about them. Any restaurant that you are interested in me trying, I will do that, because it's not that Atlanta has bad food. It's just Atlanta has a lot of bad hyper-capitalists who are interested in flipping restaurants and making money and selling Atlanta. People are buying into Atlanta for the wrong reasons, but it's not helping that Atlanta is being plastered everywhere, like a TV show Atlanta, all of the reality shows we have seen. Just the culture of Atlanta has been sold to the highest bidder, and black folks are not benefiting from that. Like, the city is being heavily gentrified to the T. Some of the spots that were black owned by folks who lived in Atlanta no longer exist. My favorite barbecue spot was just sold not too long ago. Like, it is bad, and gentrification is not making it any better. These Atlanta restaurants have to update to what is going on and who are the patrons. And a lot of the newer patrons and the folks who are spending money are white people, because white people are moving into the city because it is cheaper, and they're moving into the city because of the jobs that are being offered by some of the big corporations who are spending millions and billions of dollars in Atlanta, that the city is allowing them to buy and not pay taxes on land and stuff. So we got to have a conversation. I will be doing a part 2 to this video because there's so many other things, so many things I need to discuss beyond this. I appreciate you all for watching. Tell me how you feel about everything that you have seen, and we'll continue the conversation. But I will be coming back because I need to do a title video called Dear Atlanta Restaurants. We need to talk. Until next time, talk y'all later. Bye.